Season 7 of Tyler Perry's Sistas is right around the corner, premiering on January 3rd, 2024. And I'm your good sis, Erica Vane, you love to talk TV with, coming to you in this video to talk about if Fatima and Zach actually win custody of Michael against Heather. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn your bell notification because I am breaking down different components of the story that we currently see play out in the Sistas universe every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, and you don't want to miss out on any of the information, especially if you are a Sistas super fan. Now, as mentioned, the topic of this video is talking about custody, and I want to go over the pros and cons, or specifically some of the things or arguments that could be made for both them not to get custody as well as them getting custody. And the argument or the grounds for the conversation I'm having in this video is that we do know that in season 7 there is a new character, Miss Rose, and I did break down all the new characters that are coming to season 7 of Tyler Perry's Sistas. If you would like to watch those videos, I will link them in the description box down below, and you can also go and read every single character description because I have it on ericavane.com. You know I got you. But Miss Rose is a female 60s sweet black woman who comes aboard and gets hired to be their nanny, and she gets hired after they do extensive interviews and are basically annoyed over all of these other Gen X and Gen Z applicants who probably just really don't fit. And I guess Fatima and Zach are looking for somebody with traditional values. You know, they are still engaged, they're trying to find their footing in their routine within their home. My biggest question is, why in the hell do they need a nanny when Zach don't do nothing every day but run up to the damn law firm with Fatima? But that's neither here nor there, right? They're actually hiring one. So that to me brings up the question of if, you know, they actually won custody. So the things that would keep them from actually getting custody, I think, are one, Zach's criminal record. He is still either on parole or probation. I get those things confused, so I'm so sorry if I mispronounce it. However, back in season 1 of Zatima, we got Zach mentioning to Fatima how he could not take her off the coast of Italy or the Amalfi Coast because she loves to travel in that way, but he can't go because of all his legal trouble, because he's an ex-felon, because of what actually went down in accordance to his run-in with the judicial system, right?
I can't get a passport because of my record.
Dude, I forgot about that.
Right.
And we have seen up until this point, or at least up until season 5, additional run-ins with the law. In season 3 of Zatima, which is just recently finished filming, Zach is actually going back to jail. So his criminal record is something that is still very much so a part of the conversation. His current status, even if he's not in jail in the particular time that this is happening, is something that is going to be looked at by a judge looking to figure out what's the best place or where is the best home that's going to be conducive for this child to thrive. And while Zach doesn't continue to behave in his criminal ways in reference to robbing, stealing, whatever the hell, him having the past of it is just not going to look well, right? Now, the other thing on Fatima's side of it is that Heather can definitely point to the fact that Fatima has assaulted her, and not just assaulted her once, which we got to see play out in Zatima.
What the hell?
If I tell you to be at my house tomorrow at 6 and you don't show up, I'm really gonna fuck you.
But she also apparently is going to assault her again in the season finale of season 6.
She gonna take the money.
Get out, get out.
And I'm recording this before we get to see the season finale, so we'll of course keep you updated if there's anything else that comes up, right? But Fatima has actually assaulted Heather twice, and that is something that is going to be, if mentioned, held against her, because that shows a volatile nature, which can be inferred into unstable home. Like if you got anger issues, they don't want to place a kid in a house with a woman with anger issues, and she happens to not be the biological mother, which means that you technically, or would assume to be a lot more detached from the kid, not having an actual biological tie, which means at this point you beating on his mama, but at what point does it turn into you exacting violence some type of physical altercation on the kid. Not saying that Fatima would do that, but that is something that a judge would have to consider. Now, the only thing that would be working in Fatima's favor is that Heather doesn't actually have a ton of proof unless she goes back and gets her co-workers to co-sign that Fatima ran her head into the mirror back when she did the first assault. But then the second assault looks like it's happening in Heather's house, and the only other person present is Zach, and Zach is definitely not going to testify against Fatima. So I don't know if she's actually going to be able to prove that, but those things are going to be things that could be held against them. Now, what is working in their favor to actually get custody? Zach and Fatima being more financially stable, being that Fatima is a paralegal and has a steady income. Zach is an entrepreneur and has hit it big when it comes to the stock market and is kind of riding easy right now with a nice little nest egg in a bank and a burgeoning business. Shows that they're financially stable. Heather probably makes a good amount of money as a stripper, but she's still a stripper. So a judge is going to look at that profession with a little less priority, a little less respect and regard than a paralegal and an entrepreneur, especially because it's a two-person household and Heather is by herself. If they call into question Heather's lack of a male partner, which unfortunately that still becomes a thing in 2023, and if Fatima or Zach mentions the revolving door of men that are coming in and out of the house, that could also be something that is tied into, like, this don't look as stable for the kid, right? And if there's actually child abuse happening, one of the things that is mentioned is that they actually need proof of the child abuse. They need proof, or they need child services visits on record and certain things like that. And that's something that Zach and Fatima are pursuing. Now, I don't know how Fatima attacking Heather is going to play into that or impact that, but that's something that they clearly said that they were going to go after. So if they're able to get this proof, if they're able to take pictures of Michael's back, if they're able to show that he's a little malnourished, and even tie anything in reference to his current living conditions to his developmental delays, that would help prove that he needs to be removed from the home. And then the third, and like kind of less important, because the same way that Heather doesn't have a ton of proof to be able to prosecute or go after Fatima for assaulting her, they don't have a proof of Heather extorting them except for hearsay. However, that could be a conversation that's brought up to the judge where Zach and Fatima both point out, like, she literally tried to use the possession of his child as a money grab, and that shows that she doesn't value the child's life. She doesn't value the child actually thriving and being in a stable environment. She's using him to garner additional financial income. So those are the two camps. Now, honestly, after thinking about those things, I still am like, I don't know where a judge will fall. There's craziness on both sides. There's inconsistencies on both sides. The fact that I think, Zach not knowing about Michael for 3 years is something that's probably going to work in Heather's favor. So I'm not 100% sure that they actually win custody. So then where in the hell does Miss Rose come in, the new nanny? I personally think that they don't actually win custody over Michael. We're going to see less of Heather, I believe, but I believe that Miss Rose is being brought in as a support to help the co-parenting happen. Fatima might get a restraining order. Like, Heather might have a restraining order against Fatima, which means she can't come to her actual location. They might need to create additional distance because it's so volatile whenever they come into contact with one another. So a nanny would make sense to handle handoffs and to try to stabilize how this person is, or how the child's growth and development is supported. In addition to whatever Miss Rose does within the home, I wouldn't be surprised if Zach and Fatima also offer up Miss Rose to help assist Heather in taking care of Michael when he's there. So when Heather's at work, instead of the sister or the boyfriends or whoever watching, she needs to agree that Miss Rose is going to come in and take care of Michael. And Miss Rose is the one who's going to transport Michael back and forth to the houses so that Zach and Fatima never have to come there. And for me, that makes sense. Like, Zach is flexing all this money. He throwing bands at Miss Cheryl, and this is the better way to spend that money. This is the better way to invest in your child's future, I think, and to create a stable environment with two very different homes. I think that you know, Zach and Fatima being attracted to Miss Rose, talking about how she makes homemade meatloaf and mashed potatoes is going to be great, because apparently, well, I'm at least hope. Now, I'm not even going to say apparently, but I'm hoping that Zach actually starts to do some damn work at his business, that he actually starts to work every day and try to generate additional income, and it's not just living off of this nest egg that he was actually able to come up on in reference to the stocks. Now, season 7 starts 3 months after season 6, so there's some time that has passed. Clearly, you know, they've gone to court, they've done some things, and they're getting reestablished. So Fatima and Zach hopefully are in a place where they're settling into their home. It's less drama going on. They don't have no beef with Karen. In season 7, Fatima is actually going to be integrated into the Sistas circle. I'm going to have another video about that. So again, subscribe, because you don't want to miss any of these conversations. I think Miss Rose will wind up being very pivotal, because she's going to help to cook maybe lunches and dinners. She's going to help to take care of Michael and to streamline his care. And she's going to be the thing that Zach pays for to help support, which will probably help Heather, or basically lessen what Heather gets in reference to financial child support, because he's providing a nanny that can go with Michael even over to Heather's house. Zach don't have to pay Heather outright, because he is paying the cost of Miss Rose's salary. I wouldn't be surprised if he is paying for Michael's schooling and any additional resources he needs as a nonverbal kid. So hopefully this is a sign that, again, Zatima and Heather figure it out for the betterment of this child, and we get to see them move forward in a mature, healthy co-parenting situation, which ultimately is going to set the stage for him to continue to be a great co-parent when his child with Karen arrives. Let me know what you think about my theories and what I discussed in this video. How do you feel about it? Do you think that Zach and Fatima are going to get custody? Do you think that they're not? Do you agree with me? Drop all of that in the comment section down below. If there's anything that I missed, you can also share that. And YouTube thinks that you should jump into this video next, because I've dropped a ton of Sistas content. So again, if you made it to the end of the video, you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so, because you don't want to miss out. We're having a bunch of conversations. There's new writers in season 7. There's so much to get into. And you know I cannot wait to continue to do it with you. See you in the next one.